Tonight we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultraspectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
What is up, everybody? It has been a while. Last minute changes, obviously. I am interviewing myself tonight. Just kidding. I'm going to be interviewing Chris. Chris, the man in the back of the screen. Quite a busy time, but unfortunately, I have some sad news. Danny Whitson is no longer doing the podcast. Everything is good. Everything is great. He just has a lot going on, and he had to step aside for a little bit to deal with some more things that are pressing. So we hope he comes back. He was supposed to interview me today, but something else came up that got in the way. So I apologize that I didn't have anything really prepared to say on his behalf. So please reach out to Danny Whitson, and thank him for everything. I hope he does come back once he sorts all his stuff out. In the meantime, I guess I'm going to be the guy. So Chris and I are going to figure that out. For those who don't know me, my name is Ryan Stacey. I am the Skeptical Sleuth. I am the creator of the Experiencer Support Association. You can check out a lot of things on my Facebook page, the Skeptical Sleuth. I've done a lot of things. I've had my hands on a lot of things, and I've been busy behind the scenes. And there's a lot to talk about, but I'm interviewing Chris tonight, so maybe we'll get into that. Maybe we won't. So say hello. Hi, Christy. Hello, Tessa. Hello, that girl 84. And Chris, as soon as you're ready, come on in, man. I haven't done this in a long time. A little rusty.
Yes, you are a little rusty.
A little rusty. Well, I had to rush. It was a busy day. Bedtime, all those things. You know, forgot my glasses. Had to go get them. These are new, by the way. But give me a minute till I just chill.
Yeah, that's fine.
How are you? How was your day?
I'm good. My day was all right. I had that meeting today, so that's been a little rough, but
well, I'm glad you're here, and good for you for doing that meeting that we won't talk about, but good for you.
I did get some spiritual guidance and some things that I am going to talk about tonight that I've figured out.
All right. Well, how about this? So since I have been MIA for a while,
okay,
Danny isn't here to talk about, the top hits and the best moments and all these other things of the podcast since he's been here. Before we get into you, why don't you, explain to the audience if they don't already know, or remind me of, who you are and why you're here and why you're the way that you are. Remember those questions? And give me some feedback on how this podcast has been since I left, and let's talk about the work that Danny did and what your highlights are. And
okay. So
get into because we got to give something to Danny here.
Yes, we do have to give something to Danny, and he's been great. I do have some highlights that I am going to share. So my name is Chris Green. I am the behind the scenes. I'm also manager of your other company.
Yeah.
And it's been going well. I haven't tanked it yet, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're not fired. You're good.
Yeah. And some of the highlights, I've met a lot of people through this podcast. And my favorite one has to be James Best.
Okay.
He is the nephew or grandson of James Best, which was in the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah,
he was Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah, of course, so you're a big Hazzard fan, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. So that was my highlight because we talked a lot about what James was, and what he did and stuff like that. I also had another one. I forget her name. She had a skunk and a charger, and the skunk name was Charger as well. Christine Vanderpelt.
Something, yeah.
She was good, and
show. Yes, I like that show.
Yeah, and yeah, just a lot of people, from the phenomenon, and a lot of people that was also a medium and stuff like that. So that brought me back because of what I can do.
Right. Okay. And what can you do?
Okay, so I've finally learned this. I can be talking to a person and knowing where they are and what they're doing, where they are on a site, and not have them GPSed just by sounds.
Like echolocation.
Yeah. So because I am Native, in my teachings, that was the old school way. So back in the 1800s, 1600s, wherever, they would know where the enemies are before they got there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think didn't that have something to do with the length of the hair as well?
That I don't know.
So in Aboriginal or Indigenous culture, there are theories that there's that sixth sense was present in the war, and by use of their long hair, they were able to sense and feel the vibrations before it has happened, and using that, they were able to tell certain things while they were tracking. And then somewhere along the lines, people found out about that, and then the army started shaving all our heads off because they didn't want us thinking for ourselves. And the hair actually acts as a current, as a conductor. So the longer your hair are, the more atmospheric energy you can collect. And there's theories on that, but there's also some science that proves that as well. So I imagine those two things are connected.
That's why I could feel that when my hair was long.
Yeah, it's an energy. See, that's the thing. Energy manipulation. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can know it, but do you actually understand it? You feel the tingling on the back of your neck, but can you pinpoint who, what, where, and when, and why?
No.
You just know that there's something, so then you sense that, and then you go towards something, and you're guided towards it. But how do you know if you're being led positively or negatively?
You don't know.
Energy has a charge. Okay, so let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and you're having a great conversation, and all of a sudden somebody walks in, you don't know who they are, but you feel different?
Oh, yes. Oh, I have.
Right? Because the people around you know who they are and have negative feelings towards that person, and you're picking up on that negative feeling.
Right.
But you got 4 or 5 of you in that room. How do you know which one of those people are the ones emitting the negative feelings until they speak and tell you, I effing hate that guy, right? But up until that moment of confirmation, you don't know. It's just a feeling, right? That's the same thing that's happening. That's how it works. So the idea with the long hair is that it would magnify that. I'm trying, to grow out the top here, not so much the sides, but I've been experimenting with atmospheric energy on my break of all things. But okay, well, how about we do this? Because some folks were expecting me to be interviewed, and I wasn't expecting to interview you. So we'll just go back and forth for questions. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay, you got a question for me?
Yeah. What have you been doing all this time that you've been gone?
Whole bunch of nothing. No, just kidding. Well, it's been what, a year and a half since
2 years, buddy.
Huh?
2 years.
Since Danny took over? 2 full years?
Almost, yeah.
Almost, so a year and a half. Come on now, give me.
You're in 3/4.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Give you the extra inch. So I've been busy with a lot of things, as you know. So behind the scenes, I've been having I've made some touch and go checkpoints throughout the podcast throughout the years, and some of you guys might, who haven't seen me before, I had a lot of pepper, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of animosity towards the UFO community. And that's simply because I've been doing a lot of work. I've been screaming from the rooftops, trying to tell everybody what's going on, and nobody seems to listen. And I was getting irritated, really frustrated. So I took a break from the UFO stuff, and then what I was trying to do is explore the paranormal more, which is where my roots are, and all these other things. But behind the scenes, we've been working on the businesses, trying to amalgamate all these ideas under one umbrella to make it more of a powerhouse, to bring TESA, to at least create the opportunity for TESA to launch in the direction that I wanted it to. I've had it for a long time off to the sides. It's time to take it serious. We got some funding. We got all these things kind of lined up. But in order for me to do that, I had to actually do some work. And I've been doing that. And you've been running the companies and this podcast this whole time behind the scenes. And I haven't been doing nothing. But nothing in this space. Now, which isn't entirely true. I have been working in this space just behind the scenes. Recently, it has finally come to light that the whole ATIP program was a false flag, as we've been telling you all, but nobody seems to freaking believe it. And there's a little bit of credibility that could go to Grush and Elizondo right now, that it's perhaps that because they did see something, but what's come to life is that they were intentionally planted by the government for them to see, for them to do all of this chaos and all this crap that's going on right now. But I'm not really buying that. I feel like they were in on it and they were told to put this narrative in, and now it's all falling apart. And we're close to World War III. That's all part of the PSYOP and the don't even get me started on these forest fires and them hiding the smoke and all this other stuff. And anybody hear any jets fly by over the clouds, even though you couldn't see it? There's a lot of things happening in our airspace that's being weaponized right under our freaking noses. So in order for me to get to the bottom of that, I also had to sit back, do some private investigations. I had to do some freedom of information requests. I had to do some things behind the scenes, step away from the public part in order to actually put some pressure. And I put some pressure, and now stuff is starting to leak out. And now I'm perfectly timed for me to come back. Wasn't planning on coming back this soon, but the timing works out because I'm going to have to explain some of this shit some of this stuff that's coming. Okay, so there are some developments that are coming. There is some information that is coming, but it's not aliens. We are being fooled, and they will stage an alien invasion sometime between like early 2026 or late 2026. And I've said this on my podcast many times before. I was predicting disclosure to be completed at year 2027, and we're right on par. It might be a little bit earlier by a couple months. And there's lots of stuff that I've done in the past. You'd have to go back and watch all the podcasts from all the seasons to know where I'm at right now. So I helped push all that stuff along. It's now coming out. Hat tip to those who are releasing it, because they're taking the heat right now. Sky Canada is dragging their heels because of the federal election to release all of their stuff, but that's essentially just going to be more of the same. They're going to explain everything away. So what's really going on, right? So I've been doing that. So we can talk more about that if you want. But then, so the other thing that I was working on in the past was also my shadow side. So I've had a lot of problems with faith. I've had a lot of problems with the existence of God and all these other things, and hence the skeptical sleuth. So the skeptical sleuth used to be skeptical of extraterrestrials, UFO beings piloting UFOs and paranormal being ghosts. Now the skeptical sleuth has had some experiences and has had some research and has done some things and worked on his demons and all these other things and learned things like meditation and all these other things and worked through some stuff. And now the skeptical sleuth in that space isn't so skeptical. However, I'm now skeptical of something else. And I'm skeptical of the people. I'm skeptical of the government. I'm skeptical of these PSYOP programs that's happening in the news. So my priorities have kind of shifted a little bit. And I'm trying, and another reason why I've been behind the scenes is because there's a lot of information that I want to get out to you guys, but it doesn't come without aggression and backlash. So I've also been putting up some shields and some protections in there behind the scenes. You know, make sure we got some lawyers, make sure we got some insurance, make sure we got all our things dotted and crossed and all that other stuff. And once that gets solidified, then we just start releasing this stuff. And I don't give a crap if anybody's offended. You're lying to us. You stole from us. You're driving people crazy. And from the Experiencers Support Association, how am I supposed to support the experiencers if I don't really have any concrete proof of what is what and how it's separated? I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. So now I know 90% of the problem is a country that I'm not in. And the 10%, I would say maybe 9% of the problem is the country I'm in, and the other 1% we can't explain. So where am I at? I'm more in tuned with the spiritual side of things, but here's the problem. I can't prove that in the nuts and bolts side of things. And as you know, in my career with the other job, you got to be nuts and bolts. You got to be professional. This woo stuff will affect your credibility. Another reason why I'm trying to put these things in place so that way it doesn't affect the day job. And and those of you who have watched my podcast throughout the years and near the end, you can kind of sense that I was starting to lose my mind a little bit, not because I'm crazy. Well, I could be crazy, but my frustration from how bad and serious this UFO issue has become. I want to focus more on the positive side of the woo, which I consider that to be the paranormal and the psychogenic and the mind stuff, which is quite interesting. But there's still unidentified flying objects out there. Majority of them are government. The ATIP is government. That's been confessed. That's all that stuff. All that stuff is garbage. But they are still piloting some of these crafts. However, I'm more particularly interested in the beings, because the beings can help identify who owns the crafts. Because some of these beings, like the Greys, for an example, could very well be robotic or non-human intelligence is the word that they're using, which stands for AI. Right? Not extraterrestrials. So there's some clarity that has come through that a lot of this stuff, now that's a false flag. Why does that matter for the Experiencers Support Association? Well, experiencers are now actually experiencing things that are legitimately real. The thing that's being lied about is that it's actually deliberately made and put out there by your government. Those of you who know Project Bluebeam, that's in full-scale effect. And what better, do you know what Project Bluebeam is, Chris?
No, I don't.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Project Bluebeam is the idea of creating holographic images in the sky or anywhere else to convince and fake an alien invasion. For those of you that understand optics and the way that light refracts, you need a canvas in order for a hologram to be projected on. So if our skies are clear and you send out a hologram, it will go out farther enough as to infinity until it reaches the top, wherever that is. Define your faith from that. You hit the glass ceiling or you go beyond that, whatever you want. If you were to all of a sudden stage several forest fires and create smoke that blankets the entire planet, you now have a lower canvas in which you can project your image on. So one PSYOP has to be in place for the other PSYOP to work. And that's what's happening. All of these things are happening at once, which is leading to this world war, which is just going to be the fear factor to get us scared, like pandemic times 2. COVID didn't work, but now they're going to try it again. And once they get enough people scared, then they will weaponize space, or at least tell us that they weaponize space, even though they've done that. And space only goes up so far. It's not forever. And then the next thing you know, they're going to start rolling in those 15-minute cities, those digital currencies, all those conspiracies that have been separate. We're at the thinning of the veil where they're all converging. And within the next 2 years, we're going to see a lot of it come through. Now, what can we do about it? Well, we can't do nothing about it. But if you're aware of it, then you can prepare. And that's another thing that I've been doing, is I've been prepping. I am getting ready because I know these things are coming and I can sense that they're coming. And now I'm not going to go all prophetic and warn you and do all these other things. Everybody freaking knows. It's just a matter of priority. It is real. It is going to happen. There will be a fake alien invasion. There will be another war. There will be a whole bunch of things that are going to happen. But are they actually what they say they are? Probably not. Their end game is to have us in our 15-minute cities, to have us with a digital currency that they can take away. The end game isn't disclosure. The end game isn't aliens and all that other stuff. Okay? Now that's doom and gloom, but that's reality. Now for those who are still seeing these beings, I still believe you're seeing something. But now I have to look at it differently. Are you seeing a projection through Project Bluebeam? Or are you seeing something else entirely from a different space? I've had some experiences as of late that echo my theories, which have proven some of my things to be true in my own mind, but I can't prove that here. I can talk about it. You guys can believe me, but I got no facts. I'm no different than anybody else. But I know with more certainty than I did before that the mind is powerful and the mind can be hijacked. The mind can play tricks on you. And I've been having a hard time separating whether or not the things that I've been experiencing are manipulated by man or manipulated by God. And when I was able to separate those things and learn to trust my instincts, I'm now starting to see spiritual guidance, starting to see signs. But now you have to be careful, because I have, like we were talking about earlier, Chris, with your sense, I can tell when I'm being spiritually hijacked. I cannot tell if that being is malevolent or benevolent, good or bad. So I get these urges, I get these visions, I get these inklings or these thoughts in my head. And they could be my own. Very well could be my higher self. We don't know. But some of these things, I wouldn't say are bad, but some of them are not always accurate. So there's a mix. So here's an example to kind of cement into that. And we got to do a commercial, right?
Yeah, in 5 minutes.
Okay. So, and then I see some questions. So maybe we can get into them. So just to give you, because you asked me where I've been. So I'm just kind of wasn't prepped for this. I'm just kind of confessing without actually confessing. You know what I'm saying?
We said that we were going to just wing this. So
yeah, so we're definitely winging it. So I've used this analogy before on many of my podcasts. I'll use it again because it's relevant. Chris, you are at home right now and you're about to go to bed and you're going to pray to God and ask for an answer or a sign that tomorrow's going to be okay. I'm also getting ready for bed, or I just woke up. I'm on the other side of the world. I just woke up and I'm meditating and I'm sending love and light out into the universe. And I'm saying, you will be great. You will be covered. You will be safe. I'm saying that in my mind. I'm projecting that. But simultaneously, while you're praying to God or asking God for a message, you intercept my words. And because your intention was focused on God, you assume in that moment that God responded to you. Okay? So when we pray and when we ask and when we do all this stuff, we got to be careful. If you think the media is censored and monitored and changed and flip-flopped and all that other stuff, Jesus, your mind is also hijacked in the same way. And now I've learned certain strategies on how to discern, or certain implements and protocols, which I'm going to bring out through with our CE5 program. Because I've been working on some of that stuff behind the scenes too. So in real time, we really don't really know who or what is communicating to us, and that's a problem. The good news is more people are starting to learn and evolve. Maybe I just took the time to do it. Or maybe I evolved. Maybe I had a couple upgrades with some of these eclipses and things like this, solar energy, and I just didn't know it. Like, all these other things. But I did have a significant loss in my life in January. I lost someone very close to me, my karate sensei. And I inherited a karate club and students. And there's a lot of responsibility that goes with that. So I've also been focusing on that. But as a teacher of the art, spiritual consciousness and your breath, and those who are in martial arts, specifically Goju-Ryu, hard and soft. I knew a lot of hard. Now I had to learn the soft. And now that I've learned the soft, I'm coming back trying to figure out how to use it, right? Keep your mind out of the gutter there, Chris. It's always hard. So it's been a while.
Chemically enhanced.
Yeah, this show is PG-13, isn't it? I can't remember. It's been a while. I'm censored, right? Oh my God. So, I guess on that note, shout out to UPNR Radio, talkradio.com. I apologize if you were listening to the beginning. I was thrown in the bus. We got to give credit to you because you're hosting the show. And thank you very much. And Michelle, I will reach out to you soon to let you know that I'm officially back when I can. And yeah, you got a question? That's my question. So I'll have a question for you when we get back. You might as well just do the commercial now.
Okay.
Are you an experiencer of unknown phenomena? Do you consider yourself a paranormal journalist? Do you investigate strange sightings in the sky? Or do you study the expansion of the human mind? You are not alone. Welcome to TESA, a one-stop shop that offers multiple services to experiencers. Place where we can work together. Place for us to learn. Place for us to grow. A place for us to change the world. Join us today.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? People with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual in paranormal events? Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's not the strongest species, nor the most intelligent that survive, but the ones that are most adaptive to change. Join us for Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, live on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't miss live interviews on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, the latest declassified Canadian UFO documents, or an inside look at groundbreaking investigations. Subscribe on YouTube today for free.
If you want to really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused it?
If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome back.
Oh yeah, that's my cue. I'm interviewing. Oops, forgot. I can getting the dust off here. It's been a while. So my question for you, sir.
Uh-oh.
It's a two-parter because I'm pretty sure I know the answer to your first question. First question is, how do you feel about being the new podcast host? And I just keep taking a little break.
Not gonna happen.
Please.
No.
What if I make it in order? Sign this piece of paper. No, not even.
No.
All right. Follow-up question. I haven't done this in a long time. You know the way that I've done my podcast in the past, and you know how Danny has grown this, right? Danny's got a different style. He's got a unique style of his own. We got a different audience.
Right.
I have to rebuild a new audience who's got to get used to me.
Right.
So do I go back to the way that I was, or something new? And if it's something new, what do you want?
All right. To be honest, I like the way you used to be, because it used to make me think. Like you used to throw me down a rabbit hole where I wouldn't sleep.
It's beyond that, baby. Beyond.
When I was behind the scenes, you'd throw me down a rabbit hole that I would be thinking for most of the night. That's why I had Wednesdays off, because I wouldn't sleep. You can even ask the girlfriend. Like I'd be asking her questions. With Danny, it was great. It was a fun show. but I could go to sleep afterwards. He didn't throw me down the rabbit holes like you did.
Well, I will try my best, but I mean, Danny's still good. Danny's great.
That's what I'm saying. Danny was awesome.
That was good. Very entertaining.
Yes.
Very funny. I'm not funny. I'm a prick.
No, you're not. Yeah, you're definitely not funny.
I'm doing polish it. That's how it is.
Like with me and Danny.
That's what I'm trying to say. The hard and soft.
I gotta be in the middle.
I gotta figure out how to be in the middle. Maybe it was too hard.
Yeah, because like even with me and Danny, he would do magic tricks and make me disappear.
I love magic.
Yeah, he used to make me disappear all the time off the screen.
That's perfect. I love that trick. That's the best trick.
Yeah.
If I had the controls, I would do the trick too. Show you how it's done. You got controls tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Because I'm in the front end, not the back end. Can't see anything.
Isn't that weird?
It is a little bit weird, but it's okay. It's good. All right. Well, then I'll have to figure it out because I do like Jamie's style. Jamie. I do like Danny's style.
Danny's, yes.
And I was reading something that had the J in it. I just put it together. I love it. And I love the fact I'm having a break. But here's the thing. I'm not the same person as I was then.
Oh, I know.
My heart grew an inch. I've had a kid. I've had some loss. I've done some soul searching. I've went to church for crying out loud. I've been doing a lot.
And it didn't break out.
I've been doing a lot of things. So I don't know if that worked up Ryan is still there. But it probably depends on the guest.
Yes.
And I've also been out of the loop a little bit because I didn't want to feed into that negative energy with the UFO circuit. So I got to ease my way back into it. And at the same time, I've come to a place of happiness, believe it or not, where I do not, I know, surprising, right? I'm not necessarily sure I want to get back into that ugly mess again and have it ruin me like it had before. Pulling away from the ufology was probably the hardest thing I had to do. I've had breakups that were not as hard, like the fear of missing out.
I can probably name one.
Please don't. My life, man. Shut up. So, there's so many things going on, but now I can approach it with a different method. I have a sense of knowing, but the only thing is I can't prove it. And I envy those believers who don't have that proof and just say it because they know it and they don't have to fight it. And I think I'm at that place right now where I'm confident to be like, you either believe me or you don't. It doesn't matter. Right? I'm telling you what it is because I've done the research. I have the data to prove it. I posted it already. If you weren't watching, well, then research it. You'll find it. I'm not. And if I say something wrong or I misspoke and it's not one of my opinions, then fact check it, let us know, and then correct it. I learned something. I don't know everything. But to make it quite simple, everybody in the ufology field is corrupted, and they're all psyop, and they're all in it for money. And every single friend that I had in the UFO community is no longer my friend. And also behind the scenes, spent time reporting and shutting them down and getting them off. So if you know that they're getting them offline, Jesus. It's been a while. I got no buffer. Hey, at least I only swore once, and it was like a little one.
Yeah. You were good.
A trucker out here. So one of those Canadian truckers. Where was I going with that? So I have spent some time behind the scenes shutting things down quietly that I know that is responsible for misinformation. And as a private investigator, there's ways of doing that. And you have to have evidence, you have to have proof, and you have to escalate, you have to appeal, you have to do all those things. And eventually it happens. So if there's anybody who you're used to watching that disappeared out of the blue that ain't there anymore, you're welcome. I'm not going to list any names. And some of that stuff had to be done because they had to focus on that and not this at the same time. And I was also splitting my attention with experiencers because I'm trying to engage with them as a host and allow them to speak some things, but some of their beliefs, I'm just like, I know in my head that like you're being lied to. But if I tell you this truth, you know, it's going to hurt you. And I don't want you to have a bad time on my show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I struggled with that. Right? So I will figure it out. But be warned. If I offend you, I'm sorry. Not sorry. Like, like, there's things you got to know. There's things you have to know. And not everybody believes what I tell them right off the bat, but some people do when they do their own research. Case in point. Chris, do you know what shape the Earth is?
Flat.
It's not flat. Kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's got hills and valleys.
Well, it's not a, well, it's, yeah.
It doesn't rotate.
Right. It doesn't rotate, and it's not a globe per se.
That's not true. It's still globe. It's still globular. There's just energy. It's just energy. So there's a whole bunch of different things, and you change the way that the world looks at all these other things. And this can be proven. I have documents. I have all the stuff that proves it, and I am very popular in that community as well. But a lot of people don't comprehend it, but I don't need to prove that anymore because I know where I'm working in this space and time. Because with the new skills that I unlocked, such as the ability to connect with source and astral project, remote view, I have a direct line. So things, you know, and maybe I'll share some experiences about that later, but if we have time, but I don't think we will have time.
We won't have time for that, no.
Questions. Let me say hi to everybody. If you, I don't know if I can scroll. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're doing well. Sean Drew. He's, what is he? Oh, you're from Britain. Nice. Fellow Commonwealth. Thank you for tuning in, Sean Drew. And Lisa says, I removed my book from Amazon. I had no choice, unfortunately. Lisa, we need to talk. Why did you remove your book? Why did you have no choice? So Lisa has published a book. I believe it's Between Two Worlds or Living in Two Worlds. Two Worlds something. I apologize.
I'm pretty sure it's Living in Two Worlds.
Living in Two Worlds, which is about her cases and her experiences, and some of which I've investigated as well. I haven't touched base in any cases in a while, too. I got to catch up on all of those. They're stacking up. Depending on your experiences, I guess, I hope you weren't, like, still being attacked by the MIB, were you?
She was at some point.
At some point. Okay. Well, we're going to have to connect once I figure out my schedule. I'm not sure if this podcast is going to run continuously after this one. I got to spend some time rebranding everything or getting my bearings again. And then I'll definitely be coming back, and we'll get you back on the show, and maybe we can talk again. All right. So what is this? Vet girl. The long hair of the Aboriginal is like the backbone. I find Avatar, the blue people, explained it best. Yes. When they connected to the plants and the life, all that stuff. I love that. That definitely makes sense. I'm not an Aboriginal myself. I don't think so, but I'm raising my, I can't say that, son, so I studied. Yeah, so I'm Métis, not Indigenous, in the sense of purebred, but I do have...
They don't call them half-breeds anymore. They call them best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. Okay. Well, then good to know.
I learned that today too.
Are you Métis as well?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So good and bad about that. I know the Indigenous community considers themselves separate from that, and then some of that stuff is still part of it, and all these other things, and the cultures and all these other things, right? So there's some hot water around that. But spiritually, I do try to get involved more on my I would say Métis side, but Indigenous side, because it is in my family. Most of my family are Indigenous, but unfortunately the line has crossed with the European stuff, and go with that. So I do look into my roots, but I don't. I think we're all Aboriginal, because I don't know if I'm going to get canceled for that. But I mean, deep down in our blood, if you understand source, you understand the connection, you understand the way that it is. If you research Hyperborea, the Hyperboreans were Aboriginal. If you research the original Jews, they were Aboriginal. Now, hold on a second. You see the term Jewish, have you heard that term before?
Yes.
One-ish, two-ish. That's a term that means I'm kind of like it or similar to it. The word Jewish means kind of a Jew. And an actual Jew is not anywhere close to what looks like this. Research it. I'm telling you the truth. I apologize to anybody who's in that community. I really am sorry, because that's a big, huge community that runs the whole world. But you get what you get. All right. I mean, I don't mean to, there's good people and there's bad people. It's just you got to know what you're part of. Everybody's a mix of that. Everyone's made mistakes. Everyone's done things wrong. History is the way that it is. We're trying to reconcile all of these other things, but we can't. And we can't segregate ourselves by labels anymore. You have to break it down and be like, this is source. No matter what, I'm from the house of Enki. I'm the house of God. We're all God's creatures. We're all God's this and all these other things, and we can't. But from my understanding and from my research, and I by no means do I consider myself an authority of any of those spaces. But I strongly believe that everything connects to the indigenous and the Aboriginals. Meaning, when the white man came over and founded all of these things, it all belonged. We were the original beings, and we know that in history. We know all these things. We know all that. But why does that matter? Well, then that kind of helped me when I'm studying my own culture and all these stuff and trying to do the genealogy and learn all these things. The more I look into the past, the more angry I get. I may not be politically correct. I may offend some people with the words that I say. I don't mean to offend anyone entirely, but we do need to talk about these generalizations, right? You can be a Catholic priest and still be a prick, and you can still do bad things to little people. No offense, but to small children. I'm on a roll, aren't I, Chris? I apologize. Show's gonna get canceled. You sure you want me back?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. All right. So when you cut your hair, mine usually reach beyond my buttocks. It's like turning the page of the book of life. Yeah, shedding old life, reset, and so forth. I have a way better intuition with my hair ridiculously long. So thank you, Vet Girl 84. That's in line with those theories, and you can sense that, you can experience that. Now, can you prove that? Not really, but do you have to prove it? And that's another thing that I've been trying to work at. What is it that I'm trying to prove? Okay, I know what I'm trying to prove, but the other thing that wasn't clear to me is who I was trying to prove it to. I spent a lot of my life with MUFON and all this other stuff trying to prove to the people at large, to the government, to all these people that never freaking mattered, who don't care for the truth. And now, as an experiencer myself, learning what I have learned, all these new things that I can't wait to explore, I don't need to prove it to anyone but myself. I know. So now I need to use it. Now I need to do something about it. I need to be mindful. I need to tread lightly. I need to manifest positivity. That crap is real. We got a new puppy based off of manifestation indirectly at a time of hurt, and everything led up to it. I see that. I see those connections. I see how it works when you're in a dark place and you are hurting and you wish and you ask, you will receive. But be careful what you wish for. Because if I had wished ill and bad things, those ill and bad things would have happened as well. When we bring in source, you are getting good and you're getting bad. You have a roll of the dice on what spirit or entity is coming in to speak through you. And you can assume that it's good, even if it leads you in a good way, and you really don't know, and you have to discern, you have to be careful. If you do seances, as another example, Discovery Harbor in our area just started doing seances for entertainment. That is the stupidest thing ever. You're inviting people to come and experience a seance. Now, if it isn't staged for entertainment because people paid for it, I'd be surprised if it isn't. You are openly inviting a plethora of entities into that space and potentially negatively affecting that group of people. You're messing with it. Stranger Things is real. All that stuff is real. I've experienced it. I know that. I just can't prove it I just can't prove it. And I'm no longer going to try and prove it. I'm going to continue to experience it and share it. At the same time, push the agenda to get confirmation from our government sources. And our government has already confirmed a lot of these things. I'm spending too much time looking up because I shouldn't be looking up. There's more information below. Underground, all that stuff is there. Or the highest elevation. You got to look underwater. We're all looking in the wrong place. We're all distracted. And now that I've figured it all, I should say figured it all out. I figured out a lot of things. Still got lots to learn. I'm driving my focus. So the skeptical sleuth ain't so skeptical, and the skeptical sleuth's going to talk about more woo and crazy things and be just on par like everybody else. But take it with a grain of salt, because those are my experiences, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm interpreting it right. I choose to believe it's God, but for all I know, it's Lucifer. For all I know, right? But Lucifer's the light bearer. Not Satan. That's a totally different character. Wrongfully accused. Right? Just like the Knights Templar. Murdered for something they didn't do because the Catholic Church was afraid of losing their power. When they came back in the Anglican Church. Look that shit up. Damn it. Look that up. Am I allowed to say anything?
No.
One bad word? Well, sorry. Not sorry. I'm going to have to find somewhere else so I can swear. No. Okay, we only got a couple minutes. Sean Drew says, are UFOs autonomous entities or manifestations of the interaction between human consciousness with the phenomenon? Well, I can't say for sure. And that's an all statement. I believe some are autonomous entities and some are interactions between human consciousness with the phenomenon. It has to be all of it. But which are which? It's easy for us to investigate the things that we see because in this material world, we need to physically be in them. We know that remote viewing is possible. We know that there are drones that are remotely piloted. We know that the technology exists to do this. So why can't it be that? Now, these crafts tend to be quite tiny and it doesn't necessarily fit the biology of an extraterrestrial based on the descriptions to fit in that. But that doesn't mean there's not a smaller extraterrestrial that could fit in that. It could be consciousness based. Definitely could be. Why not? It doesn't really matter how it's operated. What matters is the fact that it's being used to control us and cause harm and kill people. And that's a bigger problem. Now, I do believe, and I have experienced, that these beings that will connect with you don't need these three-dimensional crafts. They want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. The hard part is again, trying to discern whether or not it's a guardian angel or guardian devil. You know, angels can be good, and they also can be bad. What is an angel? It's just a good being. A demon, this insane being, just chose to do bad things. A fallen angel who was painted as being bad used to be good. They didn't change their biology. They were just labeled. Now who labeled them? Right? The ground team, I should say, House of Enki. We are children of Enki. Enki is a direct lineage to the House of David. which is then leads to the house of Solomon, which then eventually leads to the house of Christ. Traces all the way up to Christ, we know that, and the house of us, right? Go further back, it goes back before David, before Abraham, before all the Bible stuff, goes back to Thoth. And before Thoth or after Thoth would be Enki in between. Same being, same soul, same fraction. Different names, different time periods, different purposes. Right? Lucifer was good when he was the right hand of God. But as soon as Lucifer said no, he was cast out. But was he cast? Research suggests that he left. He left intentionally. Why? Because God didn't care about humanity as much as Lucifer did. Now, Satan, on the other hand, this Christian Catholic manifestation, tells a different story. But imagine, the guy who's in charge of punishing those who do evil. I'm pretty sure he's doing work for God. Because why would he punish you? He should be encouraging you. Okay? I'm not saying believe in the devil. I'm just saying that acknowledge that an entity can be good and bad and flip-flop depending on its purpose. Understand that?
Yes, I do.
Just like I can. You've seen different sides of me. This side you haven't seen in a long time because we haven't done this. But you've seen the whole hey, get to work, do this now. You've seen that side. You don't like that side. But you acknowledge that when that hat's on, that it's needed.
Yep.
And depending on the perspective, if you only worked for me in that field and didn't work with me in this field to see my Cancer side, my Cancer moon side,
yep.
You probably think what everybody else thinks. This guy's a prick. He's an asshole. All these other things. Oh, there's 3. Sorry, I'm out. But you know what I'm saying?
You're done.
Yeah, I'm done. 3 strikes, I'm out. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I do.
So I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm a little rusty because I've detached myself from the I have to be a certain way so people don't get offended in the professional life, and we'll work on it.
Yes.
But I've been pretty well desensitized and I've had enough. So, here we are. Anything else you need to say?
It was nice to see you on this podcast.
Thank you.
I want to say, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Last question. What are your thoughts on free will, especially with humans and angelic demons? Well, we always have free will. Whether or not it's influenced is debatable. The voice in your head, is it you? Is it your higher self? Is it here? Is it now? Whatever. The only advice that I would have to guarantee that it's meant to be in your divine path. Don't listen to your first thought. Listen to your second thought. Don't listen to your instinct, second thought. And at the same time, sleep on it, contemplate, come back to it, and see how you feel. If you feel good and it's going to do good, then it's likely good. If it feels off, trust your gut. All right? We got to go?
We got to go.
All right. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. And as always, like I used to say, heed the MFing world.
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. She's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them may.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused
If you
it.
want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.